4 things that Tennessee must do if the Vols hope to win a championship. What down is it, Coop?
Coop here. First down.
Thanks, Coop. All right, get healthy up front. Guys, that was what I call a car wreck type of game. And by that, I mean that you've hurt with your bones, is the way one player described it to me one time. If you've ever been in a car wreck, and by the way, in all seriousness, we do want to send prayers and a shout out to Mike Stoll, former Vol. I was in his wedding. He was in a serious car wreck, but he's fine. But so maybe I shouldn't have used that analogy today. So I'm going to go away from that. But that's the type of game where you're extremely hurt and sore. I'm glad for Tennessee that they don't play Arkansas this week. Now, more specifically, Tennessee needs to get healthy at the tackle position. Lance Hurd needs to be available. And yes, I'm talking to you, Hurd. I'm not questioning whether anybody is healthy or not, but do whatever you have to do, whether it's stay all night in the facility to get treatment. I don't care what it is. You have got to be ready to go. Tennessee needs you, if nothing else, from a depth perspective down the line. Now, the good news is that Josh Heupel, and I don't think it was a throwaway line, said he expects both him and John Campbell Jr., who was injured in the Oklahoma game, to play. But I think get healthy up front, especially on offense, that could be 3 of my 4 things that Tennessee needs to accomplish this week.
Yes, I mean, I agree. Getting healthy is a big one. The bye week comes at a great time for them. And I mean, honestly, Dave, the timing of both bye weeks, I think, is one of the most underrated best parts of Tennessee's schedule, because they get this bye week. They go to Arkansas. The Heupel's dominant after a bye. They get healthy. Heupel can be dominant after a bye, beat Arkansas easily. Then Florida comes to town. I don't care what the history is. That's not going to be a bruiser game. I don't know if you guys have seen Florida's defense, so they're not going to get banged up in that game, barring a freak injury. And then they get to be fully rested and in rhythm, getting ready to host Alabama. And right after Alabama, they get another bye.
And I want to give kudos to Florida for just a second. I mean, they showed up. I didn't think they would do that. So good for Billy Napier. Very detail-oriented.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe. Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Thanks, Coop. Find another tailback in the off week, excuse me. I've got mad respect for Deshaun Bishop and Dylan Sampson. I just think that over the course of an SEC season, you're going to need another tailback at some point. You're a turned ankle away from Peyton Lewis or Cam Selden being in the game. So just think you need to know who that guy is and have a plan for that guy. Let's say in the Oklahoma game, this is the reason I didn't say last week, I didn't think it was important or pressing, is because had Sampson done something or Bishop done something, well, then most likely if that happened in the middle of the game, that player would be asked to play for the remainder of the game because they feel most comfortable in those 2 guys. But Caleb, at some point, they're probably going to need a third tailback. So if they don't have a plan in place for both players, Selden and Lewis, that were banged up in the offseason but healthy now, they need to have a plan in place by the time they re-begin SEC play against Arkansas.
Oh, absolutely. But let's be fair. Sometimes it takes towards the end of September to find your rushing attack. If you look at history, Tennessee didn't turn to Jamal Lewis until the last week of September when they faced Ole Miss in '97. And then everybody was like, why wasn't he out there to begin with? And not just receiver. A lot of weapons sometimes take about a month. Do you remember 2001? Kelly Washington, 9/11 happened, and then Tennessee had a bye, so they effectively had 2 byes. And then out of the blue, no one saw Kelly Washington going off against LSU, except people like you who were covering practice. Like, you always knew that was going to be a moment, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. He looked incredible to me. As a matter of fact, he kind of reminds me a little bit. I know people love Brew and they hate Kelly Washington, but just physically as a player, they remind me a little bit of each other. Both very physical and possible to play press coverage against, which leads us to
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third
continue development of receiver. Okay. Now, I've got no problem if Tennessee wants to rely on Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton Jr., and Chris Brazel II. as their primary pass catchers. And if they want to do it like they did in 2022, where those are the only guys out there, that's fine. But I would argue that Tennessee could be even better if they could rotate a trio of receivers in or play more 4 wide. But based off the amount of times that guys like sophomore Caleb Webb, freshman Mike Matthews, those guys, I mean, they didn't play a lot. And we know Squirrel White's role, I think, at this point, which is the backup to the slot and returning punts. So I think that Tennessee could use another receiver if somebody goes down, but more so to be able to showcase some different looks. Like Tennessee has enough tight ends to run the 2 tight end look. Caleb, they put 4 receivers out there at one point during the game, I know, on Saturday, but I don't think it's something they feel comfortable in unless the numbers are really in their favor.
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree with you on this a little bit. I don't think they need development at receiver. I think they've had, look, this is kind of weird to say, 4 games in, they've been allowed to be vanilla on offense. And I didn't think they would have, I thought they would have to really expand it last weekend. But Dave, they're staying vanilla. Heupel stayed vanilla last weekend. Can you say?
Okay. Well, let me take a time out. Do you see I see a much more varied defense. I see a Neapolitan, so to speak, because like when my wife and I get Neapolitan, I'm like, you can have all the vanilla, but I want the strawberry and I want the chocolate. So to me, the strawberry and the chocolate are Tennessee's offense in the 3 wide, 1 running back look. And then the 2 tight end look would be the strawberry, or one's the chocolate, or one's the other. So to me, they are more versatile this year, and you can have the vanilla. So I think we may be talking about 2 different things. Are you talking about during the game?
Well, yeah, I'm saying during the game they've chosen to be vanilla because they haven't had to expand their offense. So the receivers really haven't been able to benefit from that because they haven't had to use them the way they need to. And I mean, in 2020, last year, they took more shots downfield last year than they've taken this year so far. And it's not because Nico's not better at the shots downfield. It's because they really haven't needed to take the shots downfield. Why show anything? I mean, your defense has been so dominant.
Yeah, and the other thing, remember this, Brent Venables was known for rocking a safety down into the box, and I told you that last week.
You did.
They only did that like 5 times against Tennessee. I specifically watched that, and everybody is playing back because they don't want to get beat by these receivers and Josh Heupel's natural inclination to throw the football.
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
All right, 4th down will be brought to you by Medicare Misty. Her services are free, licensed in over 40 states. MedicareMisty.com. 4th down, just a bit.
I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
All right, here is 4th down. Relax just a bit. If I wanted to be old fuddy-duddy Dave, I could come in and say there's no way that Nico and Josh Heupel and who else? Brew McCoy should have been at the Morgan Wallen concert last night because it's football. No, the guys get a day off. It's a tough physical game. Relax just a bit before this incredible run comes up in which you've got to play Georgia, Alabama, maybe a rising Florida team, but I have my doubts. So, Caleb, I mean, take a chill for a second. Like, for instance, I texted Cooper. I said, let's not do this on Sunday because I know you're sore. So chill just a bit. Now, that ends when they go back to practice tomorrow.
No, I agree, but no, you should absolutely chill, relax, enjoy it for I'll never forget. This must have been 20 years ago. Remember that 6 overtime game when Tennessee played Arkansas? And
yes, I do very well.
Mike Mayock, I think I don't know if it was Mike Mayock, but it was somebody else on the sideline. After the game, interviewing forward to the game, he's like, "Coach, you're 4-1, but now the gauntlet begins. You got Florida, you got Georgia, Alabama, Miami." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this win for about another 12 hours or so first." Like, he said, I'll get to that in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
And I know people
read the room, Mike Mayock.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was Mike Mayock. I think it was somebody else. He's the only male like sideline reporter I remember. Because I'm used to female sideline reporters, but it could be somebody else, to be fair. But yeah, it was like everybody is like relieved of a win, and Fulmer is like, you could tell he was exhausted, and he's like, I'm not ready to think about Georgia right now. Just like, let me mentally like enjoy this.
So you got I think it's the 24-hour rule, but if you have a bye week, it's okay to go 48 hours.